Why is silver so strong today, and what is the long-term outlook for gold and silver?
So this morning we are seeing a new wave of speculative buying coming into the precious metals, especially in the silver. Silver at one time was up about 12% day to day, and also silver trading at its highest levels in about 8 years. With gold also advancing, metals in general seem to be following silver's lead. So looks like the long-term outlook for the precious metals still appears to be bullish.
What is the outlook for inflation, and how will this impact commodity prices?
So it is my belief that inflation is likely to accelerate, but I think it may accelerate faster than some analysts are anticipating. Of course, we have seen a substantial amount of accommodation from central banks, and I do believe that central banks will probably be accommodative for quite a bit longer than many others are anticipating. Of course, that is inflationary, and to me that would suggest that commodity prices are likely to continue to advance in price. And I think it's going to be all of the commodities overall, to one degree or another, that are going to be supported by an accelerated inflationary condition.
After lower prices last week for stock index futures, there are strong gains today. What is the long-term outlook for U.S. stock index futures?
So if I'm right about central banks remaining accommodative for longer, that is all the more bullish, I think, longer term for stock index futures. Of course, it is inflationary, and stock indices are, to one degree or another, a hedge against inflation. So the outlook remains the same. There is underlying support, I believe, likely to remain for all of the major U.S. stock index futures.
Corn prices are making new highs. Will this continue?
Over the last few weeks, we've seen China come in and buying U.S. corn. U.S. corn export prices are the cheapest in the world compared to competitors like South America and Ukraine. So anybody that needs corn has to come to the United States. Last week, it was reported that China bought 6 million tons of U.S. corn, and that maybe they bought another 2 million tons. I'm not sure exactly what is going on in China, but some people feel that their crop is smaller and that they need to buy this corn for their increasing animal numbers. They also might be adding to the reserves. Some people think their stocks right now may be below 100 million metric tons. So the more they buy, the more the other countries buy, like Mexico and Japan, the tighter our balance sheet gets. And I think that this buying in corn will continue at least through May until the South American harvest.
U.S. 2020-2021 corn and soybean balance sheets could tighten. What could this mean for prices?
The perception by private analysts is that the U.S. corn carryout might be as low as a billion bushels versus the USDA's 1552, and that the beans are dropping below 100 million bushels versus the USDA's 140. We're not sure if the USDA will say those numbers on February 9th or even in March. They may wait to see what kind of harvest activity there is in South America and just what our commitments is. But we're almost 100% in soybean export commitment compared to what USDA's export goal is, with plenty of time for the exports to increase. So I think that if we look at price models, it would suggest that we need to trade corn futures higher than we are now, and that soybean futures may be a lot higher than where we are now. The key is what's the next headline going to be to trigger some of the managed funds to increase close to record long positions already.
What is the USDA likely to say in their next February 9th supply and demand report?
February is usually not a big month for the USDA to make big changes in their global or U.S. supply and demand. The data suggests they should raise bean exports and maybe corn exports. The data also suggests that maybe they should raise domestic corn usage. Private groups are looking at a carryout around 1 billion bushels for corn and 100 million bushels for beans, and that should move prices higher when the USDA finally decides to make those changes. For wheat, there's not much change going on, although the biggest thing in wheat market right now is export taxes both in Russia and in Argentina. That could reduce the exports out of those countries. Europe is also running low on their supplies of wheat that they can ship. that could shift a little bit of demand to the U.S., but we haven't seen it yet. Again, long-term wheat prices will depend a lot on the Northern Hemisphere 2021 weather, with La Nina suggesting there could be some dry conditions in U.S. and also Russia.